welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill coming to you out in Pompey on Sweet Road at the Brew House out in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. And you can also find their newest location where we have our CNS North Stars Spotlight Specials right there at Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, right at Sweetheart Corner. And I want to thank Dan Palladino and the entire team at Heritage Hill for all the work that they've done over the years to truly spoil us by giving us Heritage Hill right here in our community, born and raised, so to speak. And we truly appreciate the work that they do and all of the great food that they bring and those awesome flatbreads and all of the things that you can get, as well as the drinks for those of you of age that can try the Heritage Hill difference. So make sure you head out to Heritage Hill Brewhouse and Heritage Hill North and let them know the DT sent you. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping. We have a double dose of the Dolphin Dive this morning, and I will have Tracey Roman here with me first, picture-in-picture, momentarily. Tracey joining us as the LeMoyne Dolphins head softball coach. She has been a mainstay on the show over the last 3 years in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne. And Tracey and I will be speaking on the impact of Bob Beretta as we found out that the leader of the athletic department is going to be heading back to his alma mater of St. Bonaventure. He spent 3+ years at LeMoyne. Really, when he came into LeMoyne, him and I met, I don't even know, days after, somewhere within like right when he got there. And so we're going to speak on his impact that he has had on LeMoyne and this first year in Division I. And then we'll be joined by Adam Zaczkowski from the Heights as well to give his thoughts on Bob Beretta as he works so closely with him in Bob's office, working hand in hand with Bob over his time at LeMoyne College, and Adam coming to us as the men's and women's swimming and diving head coach. So a lot of great stuff coming up here this morning in Dolphin time, and we'll start things off here with Tracey Roman. Miss Tracey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well, and I want to get to this first because you and I were talking about this off the air. You are on the recruiting trail, and you're someone who plans ahead. You're someone who likes to get things done and kind of know where things are at ahead of time. So your recruiting is not only recruiting, but you're recruiting down the road because you're trying to take care of business that's coming here 2025, 2026. You've tried to plan that all out and get that all set, which I definitely appreciate. For you, it might be, just status quo and what the norm is, but some people don't have that kind of mentality of, let me make sure that all my ducks are in a row ahead of time so that I can be looking 2, 3, 4 years down the road. How is the recruiting trail treating you and this softball team?
I think the recruiting trail has served us well. I think every coach prefers to be ahead of the game when at all possible. Doesn't always work out that way, but right now we are a little bit ahead of the game with our class satisfied coming in this fall and then the following fall. But as you know, in the world of college athletics, that can change in a hurry. People come and go, so you're never really done with those classes. But right now we're excited to get out there and really check out the 26, 27, and 28 classes and just get some kids on our radar to follow and see how they develop.
Yeah, and for you, as far as where your trail heads, I feel like you're willing to go wherever you feel like it's going to be best for that class, but where will it be taking you over the summer here?
Memorial Day weekend, we were already out down in Clearwater, Florida, as we were discussing a little bit off air. Very hot down there, but a lot of good softball. This weekend, we'll be going to Columbus, Ohio, where there is a complex with, believe it or not, around 30 turf fields. So you can watch age groups all the way from 12 and under to 18 and under. So a lot of bang for our buck out there. The following week, we'll be heading to Las Vegas. We'll get to some East Coast tournaments after that. It just, your recruiting kind of takes you where high school schedules are completed. And right now, there's so much still going on here in high school. A lot of the East Coast tournaments, you're not getting complete teams, travel teams. to go watch. So we tend to wait to watch some of those tournaments later in the season. But yeah, we'll be all over the country for sure. This 8 weeks is a pretty busy period.
Yeah, like you said, going all over the country and having the opportunity to go out and see the talent. What can you tell us about, like you said, you already have things set moving forward here for 2025. What can you tell us about that class and what that class is going to look like and what holes or spots you feel like you have filled and taken care of as you step forward?
Well, as far as, are you talking about the kids coming in this year or the following year?
The kids coming 2024, 25.
Okay. The kids I have coming in this year are probably the strongest class I feel like we've recruited yet. I've got three really solid pitchers coming in. Um, One's coming from Georgia, one's from New Jersey, one's from the Olean area, New York, Cuba, New York. Having a heck of a high school season. And then I've got three position players coming in. I've got a corner, a middle, and then a catcher. So really, really strong recruiting class. So I feel like these six student athletes are going to come in and challenge for playing time right away, which is exciting and will make our team better. Yeah. But I feel like we committed these kids a long time ago, and I'm excited to finally get them on campus this fall.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, when you get those commitments early on, I mean, it's a great thing, and at the same time, it feels like it was so far away. So to know that you're going to get them on campus in the fall and have the opportunity to really get to see what's on paper in front of you, just the excitement that brings you, because I know that you and I have talked about the future and we've talked about what's to come here and what you were recruiting and who you're looking for, but I know that this has been something you've been working on for a while, and I'm sure you want to actually see it right now.
Yeah, every year I tell the team, if I'm doing my job correctly, I'm trying to bring in better talent every single year, which means nobody here should be comfortable. You could be a starter one year, but that does not guarantee you that you're going to be a starter the following year. And I think that competitive environment is exactly what we need to drive our program and to make us competitively better and put us where we want to be, especially as it pertains to the NEC conference. So I also think, our returning players, we have kids that enjoy that challenge and step up to that challenge. Yeah. And which is just improving the culture of our program every single year.
And for you, Tracey, I mean, as you do step forward, as you do look at, like you said, if you're doing your job correctly and you're bringing in that talent so that nobody's comfortable and everybody has to work, as we look at recruiting and we look at how things change and how things evolve, we're also looking at the leadership change that I mentioned in the intro here. And that is that Bob Beretta, who came in over 3 years ago to LeMoyne and hit the ground running, started making positive changes and working on things from the beginning. Him and I have spent a lot of time together, and I go back to being in his office and him telling me about phase one. And phase one involved softball. It involved getting that press box and showing me, like, this is what we're working on. Here's some pieces of different things we're going to be doing on campus. Here's some renderings of what I'm looking at. And I just remember being in his office, talking with him, looking at him and looking at the sheets and hearing what he had to say and saying, like, there's a lot of people that say they're going to do stuff. And I've been around people my whole life that say they're going to do stuff. And Bob is one of those people that actually does it. And I know that he's meant a lot to you in the softball world of the care and concern he's had, and he's obviously had a connection with that in the past. What can you say about hearing the news yesterday and kind of being with that news overnight?
For me, it's bittersweet. I mean, you develop a working relationship with the people that you're around every single day, and I've certainly appreciated the support the softball program and I've received personally from Bob Beretta. So the news was bittersweet, to be honest. I personally am very sad to see him go. Yeah. but I can certainly understand anybody that had a positive experience at their alma mater would probably welcome the opportunity to go back and work there if the situation is right. And it appears that the situation is right for him. And, so I can't blame him for wanting to take that position, especially at this point in his career. So I'm excited for him. I'm disappointed for us. I think he's been an incredible leader for our department. I think good leaders, and I tell my team this, I tell my own two boys this, I think good leaders push people to do things that they're not comfortable with, or challenge people to be better in their jobs or in their position on the field, whatever the case might be. And I think Bob did that successfully here. Again, not everybody loves being pushed in that way, but I think that's what a good leader does and what they're supposed to do. And I think what has separated Bob from maybe some of the others is LeMoyne isn't always the easiest place to get things done. They have their own process that they like to go through, and I think it's been sort of a habit here when you ask for something that the answer is initially no. And some people stop when they get that no, and some people don't accept no for an answer. And I think Bob was one of those people that just didn't accept no for an answer and was always working to try and find a way to yes. And that's important because you need somebody that's going to fight for you in that way.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, when somebody wants you to be the best that you can be, right? Push you beyond. I think something, I don't think I know, that something that I always say to people, because I don't live my life this way, but when I see somebody else living their life this way, I make this comment: if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And Bob has never been like that. Bob is, what can we do to be better? This thing needs to change. We need to have this. We need to have that. This is something that should have never been this way. We need to make sure we're doing this. How did you respond to Bob, coming in and having those meetings, having them with the coaches, having them with, the department, when he was asking people to go beyond what maybe the status quo was? How did you take those meetings?
I was really excited about those meetings. And again, I think LeMoyne is, we've got different people in all walks of life that work here. And you have some people that their only experience in an athletic department has been LeMoyne College. Yeah. I've had the good fortune to work at the University of Massachusetts. I've had the good fortune to work at Iowa State University. So coming in here, I had seen how different athletic departments were run, perhaps a little more efficiently, with more support and staff, obviously. But I welcomed all of what he brought because it's what's typical of what goes on in larger athletic departments. So I think he had a big picture vision for LeMoyne. And again, LeMoyne is not Iowa State. LeMoyne is not the University of Massachusetts. And I think I understand that. But the fact that he came in here and was willing to say, you know what, yeah, maybe we're not as big as some of these institutions, but we can do better with the things that we have within our control. We can push to do better. We can all do a little bit better in our jobs. And I personally, I appreciated that.
Yeah. And for you, you said that obviously his impact on you personally has been important, and you and I have talked about his support of softball, and I know that that's something that's been incredibly important to you, is not just LeMoyne softball, but softball in general, this appreciation and respect for the sport, respect for women's athletics, respect for the fact that, because, and let's not mince words, because I've never been this way. I cover high school softball and I cover collegiate softball. I would love for there to be a world where the United States of America had a really prominent softball professional league. That'd be great to see something like that out there, and that really has traction. But when I'm covering women's athletics, or I'm covering softball, I always have somewhere in my brain, like, there's not a lot of people here. There's not a lot of media here. Now, I understand, like, maybe down in Texas, and maybe in Florida, and maybe in certain places, maybe at LSU, but my frustration comes from the lack of support for a sport like softball. And I remember the first time I met you and I sat down with you right there in your office, and you said profusely, repeatedly, thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about us. Thank you for spotlighting us. And I don't know if you remember this, Tracey, but I looked at you while I was packing up my camera and I said, Tracey, you're going to have to get used to me because I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm not going to cover your sport when you're winning. I'm going to cover your sport. And I just feel like softball doesn't get what it should have. And I know that you've told me multiple times that you really felt like Bob never made you feel that way.
Not at all. I mean, it's so hard, Dan. The climate of college athletics is so complex and largely driven by basketball and football, right? So it's easy, and there is a clear tiering of sports. That's not anybody, I don't say that as any disrespect to LeMoyne or any other college. It's the reality of college athletics and the business model of it. So yeah, there's some of our sports that have historically gotten less attention, and I've always appreciated the fact that he was wanting to push us and the quality of the product we're putting out there to even higher standards. And I'll give you just a clear example of that. Before he came here, we would have one still camera behind our backstop with no commentator of the game, and that was our live stream. And as soon as he got here, he recognized that, no, we need to put a better product out than that. And now we have 2-3 cameras a game. There's someone doing live commentating every single game now. And it's one of those things that I call it low hanging fruit, right? It's an easy fix. It's better for your parents. It helps your recruiting base, because if you're recruiting a kid from Georgia, their parents want to watch the games. They want to be involved. They can't be there, but now you're putting a better product out, so they feel like they can be there. So he understood right away how important that visibility was, for our program. And I appreciated that. And the fact that he wanted and was invested in putting a quality product out, not just satisfying the status quo, which was a live stream per se, without a real strong definition of what a live stream was supposed to be. So it's those little things that matter so deeply to the people in your program, specifically your student athletes and their families and your recruiting base. So, that's always meant a lot to me. Before he even stepped foot on campus, he and I were sharing pictures and ideas and talking about what the press box might look like, his vision, what I was thinking about. So I know it was well part of the plan before he even stepped foot here. So, and again, he could have chosen to put his attention elsewhere, but he chose to put it, some of that attention on our program. And I'm grateful for that. And so are our student athletes.
That coming here from Tracey Roman in this edition of the Dolphin Dive. LeMoyne Dolphins softball head coach on the impact of Bob Beretta on the Heights. Did you always get a sense from the beginning that Bob was there to bring this institution from Division II to Division I? Because some people have that thought that, like Bob came in and this was why they sought him out, because they felt like he was the leader that could do this. Do you see it that way? Do you see it a different way? How do you see it?
It's hard to say because, going back when Bob was being interviewed and the other candidates were in at that time, it was during COVID. It was very strange. It was not a lot of in-person stuff. It was a lot of live stream presentation type stuff. And at that point, I'm not sure anybody in the country had a clear understanding of where we were heading, from a disease standpoint and from a college climate. There's a lot of talk of schools possibly having to close, being in financial duress. So at that time, I can't say that I thought it was, yes, this is the plan, we're going Division I. I'm sure that was something that was on the table. I know during the interview process there was discussion, but there's always been discussion here about, do we go Division I? Do we go Division III? Where do our facilities, where do we align best? There was talk of Division II down the road possibly becoming obsolete. So it'd been rumored for quite a while. So I think you hear these rumors, and as a coach, you just put your head down and keep doing your job day in and day out. But in hindsight, looking back, yeah, I'm sure that was part of the original plan. I just don't think it was 100% clear to all of us at that point what direction we were going in, because it had been discussed here in past years.
Yeah. And where do you, I mean, now that we're a little bit over a year in, I mean, the anniversary of going Division One was back in May, from May 2023 to now. Where do you feel like things are at, big picture, softball wise, but then also looking at LeMoyne now that you're past year one, in year two of this 4 year reclassification process? What are you seeing? What are you thinking after year one?
Well, the announcement of the renovation to the building is exciting. The addition of a track and tennis courts. Again, these are two programs where I give their coaches a lot of credit. It is very difficult to recruit student athletes to your program when you lack facilities, especially on campus facilities. So I think I'm excited to see that. I think right now, we need a strong leader. We need to go out. LeMoyne is college. We need to go out and find a strong leader, preferably with Division One athletic director experience, because we are still in the infant stages of deciding who we are and how we fit in as a Division One institution. And Bob and our administrative team have pushed for a lot of changes as far as hotels and per diem and things like that on the road, equipment budgets, recruiting budgets, but we are still, at the basement level of all that. So it depends. How competitive are we expecting to be at the Division One level? Do we expect to be competitive only in the NEC, but not on the national stage? I don't know. We're still trying to figure out who we are and what that's going to look like in years to come. And I just feel like in this infant stage of the process, leadership is everything. Leadership is really everything, because if you look across the board, there are Division One programs and there's Division One programs. In the difference between funding is vast in programs, and there are some programs that have existed at the Division One level for years with minimal success. I'm talking from a softball perspective, winning less than 10 games. So, and part of that comes down to support and funding and what you're able to do. So again, I think right now it's a kind of a tumultuous time, and it's important to have strong leadership.
And like you said, looking for someone that has Division One experience, what qualities, when you think about what has been positive with the leadership of Bob Beretta, what qualities do you want beyond the actual experience at the Division One level? What type of leader do you feel like is needed when you think about the pillars of leadership or the things that matter to you?
One of the things I've always respected about Bob is I truly feel like he is a coach's administrator. I think that is more important today than ever in the climate of college athletics. You see coaches losing their jobs over hearsay, without fact, all the time. It goes on daily in every single sport. You really need an administrator that has your back and isn't just going to entertain every complaint that comes in about you, whether it's all the buzzwords that you're abusive, that you have favorites, whatever the case is. I think you need an administrator that can see through a lot of that, and certainly conducting investigations when it's appropriate, but being able to see through people who are alleging things simply because they're not playing or getting what they want versus the truth and the reality of what's going on. And what separates Bob from a lot of leaders, you would see Bob come out to a practice. Like, he'd come out and sit out in the bleachers and see how things are going. He'd interact with our student athletes. I'm not saying every day, but I've never seen an athletic director fly down to Florida to watch one of their teams play. He came down, as he did an interview with them while he was in Florida on spring break, not this past year, but the year before. That's not common practice in Division One athletics, but he wants to know what's going on in the programs. And because he takes that special interest, it's easier for him to deal with things like that when they come up and have his coaches back, because he's not so far removed that he doesn't know what's going on. He sees how you coach. He sees how you handle student athletes. He's just around and he's connected. So I think that's first and foremost. And I think the other thing that's important is athletics is very much a sales type industry.
Yeah.
And anybody in sales can tell you, and I'm sure you get this because what you do is it's kind of sales oriented. You get a lot more no's than you get yeses.
Yeah.
And you have to find a way to get to yes. And you have to be willing to fight through those no's and say, okay, if it's no today, how can we get to yes? What kind of creative solutions can we come up with? How can we think outside the box to provide a better student athlete experience if we don't have the funds to do this right now? So we need somebody that's not just going to be a yes man. We need somebody that's going to challenge upper administration to think differently than they've had to in the past. That's what good leaders do. And they're tough. They're tough and they push people. I think we need somebody like that. The last thing we need is somebody to come in and try to be everybody's friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you said a lot there, but I don't disagree with any of it. And, like, it's hard. It's really hard in athletics. It's really hard in anything these days because you're looking for the real, right? You're looking for the real. You're looking for the genuine. You're looking for, and the thing that I don't understand about life is if someone is not pushing you to be your best, they're doing a disservice to you. And so people that are complacent in just mediocrity and not working that hard, I don't understand. And I always saw Bob pushing himself. Anybody that thought like, wow, this guy's pushing me, he was pushing himself. I don't know athletic directors that are traveling all over the place, that are seeing all their sports, I don't know when he slept. I don't know when he, ate half the time, but he was just there. I'd go to a basketball game, he's there. Go to a softball game, he's there. Go to a baseball game, he's there. There was so many things that were so important. He would tell me, he'd be like, we would be doing a show together, we would record something, and he's like, okay, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to drive down here to see men's lacrosse, and then I'm going to see women's lacrosse, and then after I see them, I'm going to spin back around and I'm going to make sure I'm here for baseball. Then I got to do this one thing with softball, and I'm going to go to my house in New York, and then after I come back from the house, I got to be back here for this meeting. It was just something that it wasn't a choice to him. It was a mission. It was a vision. It wasn't like, well, I could do this or I could not do that. It was, I'm going to do these things, not because Linda asked me to, not because, this coach is, threatening to leave their job if I don't come to this practice. He did it because he wanted to do it. And I think that, having that type of leadership, and I give Linda a lot of credit too, because I tell her all the time, they don't make presidents like Dr. Linda Lemura. And so that combination of leadership just really moved me. And I said to Bob, like, I understood Bob. I understand Bob all the time because we think the same. When people are like, you don't sleep, Dan, they say the same thing to Bob. You're up for 16 hours. What do you, like, how are you doing all this? But it's when you care about something. So where do you see that impact when you look around campus and you kind of just see maybe the things that are invisible, not just the visible things, because the visible things are, he put things up in the gym and he put, different branding in different places. You can go see the press box out at your field. But where is the impact of Bob Beretta? Where do you see that impact?
I think it's everywhere. But the problem with it, Dan, is yes, you have those visible things, like the signage and just the branding and those kind of things that people see. But there's so many things people don't see.
Yeah.
Before Bob Beretta, there weren't full-time assistant coaches here. And even though I'm not a program that's benefited from it yet, I know it was in the works, but that wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even on the radar. Before he got here, he really pushed for that. Coaches' contracts he's pushed for. There's just so many behind the scenes things, like bringing in speakers for student athletes, good quality speakers that are relatable to today's climate of athletics and what our student athletes kind of endure. Some of the social media stuff that he brought in, the social, just how to conduct yourself on social media appropriately and the long-term impacts, life skills and just providing an experience for our student athletes that's, the best of our ability here at LeMoyne. So I just think he elevated the quality of everything we did. And some people appreciated that. Some people didn't like that because it required more of them. But I think that's what good leaders do. I don't think a good leader comes in and is on easy street. I think they have to make some waves. I think they have to try and do things a little bit differently and push people to be better. So much of what he did, it's not stuff that people are going to see, but anybody internally that's here for the benefit of the student athlete experience can see that everything he did was a labor of love for our student athletes. And I think that's why he was so driven to be places, and that's why he showed up. I didn't have to invite him to practice. He just came. I didn't have to invite him. I never said, hey, Bob, why don't you come out and support us at one of our games? No, he showed up. This year down at Lafayette on the tail end of our spring trip, there's Bob, you know. And that's pretty cool, and it's not common. And I don't think people can completely appreciate how rare that is. In so many circumstances, administrators only show up when you're in the postseason. And I'll tell you what, from a coach's perspective, that's pretty crappy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, now that you're in the spotlight, I'm going to come make an appearance. But I couldn't find time to do that, or I had no interest in doing that before. And whether or not that's true, that's the perception. And perception is reality for so much. So for so many. So I just completely appreciated that he just felt that was part of his job. And, I've learned years ago, and it's, I'm not making this up, or, this isn't a new statement, but they say a good leader, the CEO of any company, yeah, they do the hard stuff, but they'd be the first ones cleaning the bathrooms, taking the trash out, cleaning up the food after events. And Bob certainly did a lot of that. And he didn't make it a secret. So that to me is a good leader, someone that's willing to step in to other people's shoes, no matter what the job is, and isn't too good, or, sees themselves as being too good or above or better than doing some of those tasks. So there's so many things. There's so many things that people just, I think, take for granted that he did, that has really elevated our department.
Yeah. And I mean, you're mentioning it, I mean, he would go at an event where there was food, and he would go and check and be like, why has the food not been put out yet? Why is this not where it's supposed to be? Why are there no more plates? And then he's like walking and going like, I got to get the plates. I got to get the napkins. I got to bring out some stuff here. I mean, even what he did with his office, he would let the dance team use his office. And, he would tell them like, do what you got to do, put your stuff wherever you got to put it. Like, how many athletic directors are going, yeah, go into my office, into my, my area where I have all my stuff, and throw all your stuff, put all your equipment, hang out there, do your thing, eat your dinner, whatever it may be. But, it just, I think that true leadership is, to me, true leadership is when somebody eats with their people, works with their people, cleans with their people, sits with their people, because I think people see leadership, they see athletic directors, and maybe because it's this is their experience, but in a castle, at the top of the castle. And I know schools that have the athletic director that is sitting in their little Hogwarts thing in that little tower up there and watching all the minions. Bob didn't do that. Bob would sit Indian style, on the floor if he had to. He would give up his chair if he had to, and he has. So for you, Tracey, specifically, personally, why do you like being pushed? When you talk about his leadership of like, let's get out of your comfort zone, let's give you some tough love, let's bring out the best of you, like a true leader is going to take everything that you're doing and say, let me push you a little bit harder, let me see a little bit more from you. Why do you like that?
I think coaches are their own brand. So I really am highly invested in the product that I put out there. And I want to be better at what I do. I don't want to, the day that I get to the point where I don't stop trying to improve what I'm bringing to the table, whether it's this job or another job, it's time to do something different. And the worst thing you can do is surround yourself with people that don't push you. And I think in any profession, it is easy to get stuck in your own way of doing things. And as we mentioned before and talked about on a previous show, that's what's tough about not having an assistant coach at times is you need people to bring fresh ideas or push you or get you to think about things in a different way. And I really think in this world, we're only as good as the people we surround ourselves with. And if you surround yourself with people that don't challenge your ideas or challenge the way you do things or give you things to think about or push you and say, no, I want this done better, or we're going to do this a little bit differently to try and get a better result. I think if you're so defensive about that, it's not a growth mindset. And one of the Jesuit principles is having a growth mindset and wanting to be better in what we're doing. So I appreciate coaching. It doesn't mean you love it all the time. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that's going on, but I appreciate the fact that somebody in leadership cares enough about what I'm doing here with those student athletes that they want to push me to do better.
Yeah, and you brought it up. One of the pieces of the Jesuit mindset, the Jesuit mission, is magis, which Bob always talks about, which means more or to a greater degree. So, that is evident. So as we step forward, as we look at what's to come from here, Tracey, what do you want the world to know about LeMoyne? Yes, we are in look of a leader. We, that seat is vacated, and that is a tough pill to swallow. But what should we know about LeMoyne stepping forward?
I think it's an exciting time at LeMoyne. I think providing our student athletes with the opportunity to compete on the highest stage of college athletics is exciting. With that said, I think there's work to be done. Just like any business plan, it's a phased approach. There's a lot of great things projected, but it takes money to make those things possible. And we certainly all understand that. So I think while it's an exciting time, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of boots on the ground that we need to make things happen and make things possible. And it's so important right now because as I mentioned earlier, we're still trying to figure out who we are and where we fit in and what our identity is going to be as a Division I collegiate institution. Academically, LeMoyne we are who we are. We are a solid academic institution, but we're trying to figure out who we are right now.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting time, but a time where we need to be pushed. We need to be pushed, and we need to have great leadership. So I'm trusting that upper administration and people up on the Hill, our leadership is going to go out and do the best they can to find us a leader that's going to keep pushing the same way that Bob Beretta has been pushing.
Coming here from Tracey Roman, LeMoyne Dolphins head softball coach here on the Impact of Bob Beretta on the Heights. Tracey, as always, it is my absolute pleasure to speak with you. I know that you're going to be on the recruiting trail doing your thing, but we're going to have to carve out some time to have a little powwow ourselves because I miss those. So hopefully we get to do that soon.
Anytime, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity as always. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And after you telling me what this recruiting trail sounds like, I was like, I need to hitch a ride on that recruiting trail. Florida, Vegas, hello.
Yeah, I'd love to say we do a lot of fun things, but it's a lot of 12-hour days on hot fields. But it sounds good on paper, right?
Absolutely. Well, listen, safe travels with everything. Thank you as always for your time, and thank you for being one of the leaders here at LeMoyne that I'm so honored and grateful to know.
Thank you, Dan. You have a good one.
You too. Take care.
All right. Take care.
See you. Coming from Tracey Roman one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a step aside inside the Heritage Hill Studios, and when we come back, we will be joined by Adam Zaczkowski, who will continue the conversation on Bob Beretta's impact on the Heights, his impact at LeMoyne College, and what that has meant, what it continues to mean, and what it means as we step forward here with Bob Beretta making the decision to return to his alma mater of St. Bonaventure University. So we have a lot coming up here in this conversation, and I'm very excited to have this conversation with you and appreciate the fact that these coaches are joining me today to honor one of the most impactful people on my life. We'll be back at the inside of the Heritage Hill Studios right after this on Wake Up Call. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the tastes of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I am honored and privileged, of course, to be with you from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. These Heritage Hill Studios, with Heritage Hill coming to you in Pompey on Sweet Road out in the rolling hills of Central and Upstate New York, and you'll also find them in the beautiful, wonderful new location on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York, right there at Sweetheart Corners. I am picture-in-picture with Adam Zaczkowski, and I am a little envious of that, like, perfect green, because green is my favorite color, and I know that obviously we have the green and gold for LeMoyne, but that backdrop is looking very nice here this morning as we are here with the LeMoyne men's and women's swimming and diving head coach Adam Zaczkowski on the impact of Bob Beretta on the Heights as we are through our first year of the reclassification from Division II to Division I. Mr. Zaczkowski, how are you?
Dan, I'm wonderful this morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I know that this is a unique morning, right? It's an interesting morning for the both of us as we have each spent a lot of time with Bob and have been around his leadership, been around his just way that he goes about everything. And when you and I met, you were working within his office right there with him all the time. And I'd love to kind of reflect back on that time and share what your role was and what that world was like working with Bob so closely.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on this morning, Dan. Always a pleasure to talk to you. While I was studying for my master's degree in international sport management, one of the components that they had that was a requirement was working within a sport organization with leadership to kind of shadow and see what the leader of an organization does. And so Bob was gracious enough to invite me in. He named me special assistant for the summer that I worked with him. And I worked side by side with him for about 120 days, kind of as he started to get going as the athletic director here at LeMoyne.
Yeah, and when you had that opportunity to work so closely with Bob, what did you learn about his style of leadership and just how he goes about being someone who is looking to make an impact, like how his impact was made, how his leadership, because I always find it interesting to just hear how someone defines leadership, because how they define it is how they attack it. So what did you see about his style of leadership from being right there in his office?
Leadership takes a lot of different forms. And one of the things that I studied with my master's degree was the different types of leadership that people can employ. And with Bob, right off the bat, I knew that he was detailed orientated. I knew that he wanted his information provided to him in a way that was concise, clear, and timely, and that he needed to have that information to make those calls and those decisions, quick. And he needed to trust the people that were around him in order to provide him those details. I think a lot of that leadership he had and that focus and attention to detail had a lot to do with his time working with the leaders at West Point and the Army way that they do things there.
Yeah, and that detail-oriented piece, kind of, breaking things down and making sure, like you said, timely manner that you get the information. The information's concise, it's clear, and that the information is even available, right? That it's being presented. So for you, does that fit how you kind of look at leadership as well, as having the information you need, having it be concise, having a clear kind of this is what it is and this is what we're looking to do, and then making sure you have it in a timely manner. I mean, everything I've known about you over the past few years would say that that's right up your alley. Am I being fair with that?
Yeah, candidly, Bob and I had a very close relationship. Yes, he was the athletic director here. Yes, he was my direct supervisor, but he also was a mentor to me and helped me, through some things as I got going here. His leadership, at least initially, that first year was about getting the data and recognizing the framework that was here at LeMoyne. So, when Bob came here, we had our culture program called Inside the L. He wanted to learn about how that worked. He looked at the strategic plan that the school had in place prior to his arrival here, and really kind of outside looking in, he worked within the framework that the school provided that first year, so that he was within the strategic plan. And then as we started to make our transition from Division 2 to Division 1, well, more in the open space, developing the strategic plan for the athletic department, that's really when he started to make those changes, those leadership changes, that the vision started coming in, and that the different 8 points that he outlined in that plan. And so, the one thing he taught me about reading those plans is that when you read them, you have to read them, internalize them, and then kind of take ownership in the part that you see yourself in that plan, and then you have to action that plan moving forward. And that's kind of one of the biggest things that he taught me about how to be a leader within an organization this large.
You and I know that Bob is someone who wants the best, and he's going to ask you to dig deep to find that, right? To push yourself. Some people like leadership that asks you to go beyond your status quo. Some people don't like that. How did you take those meetings when he was meeting with, the coaches, meeting with the athletic department, saying like, I need more. I need your best. I need you to go a little bit further. I need you to push yourself, that tough love, because I don't know any leaders that walk into a room and go, everything's fine here. Just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? So
Right.
how did you take that leadership style of his, of saying like, from the moment he walked in, he was like, these are the things I'm looking at. I mean, he had a plan. He had plans of plans walking through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that leadership style of him, or just leadership in general, walking in and saying, hey, whatever we've been doing, we need to kick it up?
You and I had an extensive conversation about the coaches training that I went through with the Marines. And one of the things that they talk about there is that in order for these plans to work, you need to have that next level buy-in. And so I think very quickly Bob got the buy-in from the coaches,
Yeah.
the coaching group, and we said, okay, we see where this is going. This is going to be bigger than what we currently have, and we are going to scratch and claw our way to make each individual program better, and that in turn will turn the athletic department better, and that in turn will increase the profile of the school. And I think that as a coaching staff, we've all done that. We all internalize that in our own way, and we've all made that step forward, regardless of Division 2, Division 1, reclassification, any 10, any C. I don't think that matters. I think the point was and always has been, take what you have, make it better, sculpt it into something more so that we as an institution move forward.
Yeah. And I mean, that impact that he's had on your life, like you said, as a mentor, all that time that you spent with him, what do you see in your life that's better, that's different, that has changed since Bob has been around you?
Well, I mean, candidly, I went from, an assistant coach here at LeMoyne, a Division 2 assistant coach, to a Division 2 head coach, to a Division 1 head coach. And so from a professional enrichment, I mean, we went from places that I'm not sure that I ever thought I'd be from a job title standpoint. His network of people that know who he is and he knows who they are is wide. And I was fortunate enough to, when I went to the Marine training, one of the coaches there, the athletic director from that coach is friends with Bob. And so I had an immediate connection with this guy from Alaska, of all places, because Bob knows the athletic director up there at Alaska Anchorage. And so it's a small world in college athletics, and he certainly kind of showed us that, or showed me particularly that, this is about, those networking and the connections and understanding kind of how the industry works. And from that point, I have tremendous respect and gratitude for what he's done.
And in the news that came in yesterday, and you
Right.
found out yesterday that Bob would be heading back to his alma mater of St. Bonaventure University. How did you take that news after the last 3+ years of what Bob has done on the Heights to enrich the school, to take care of the student athlete, to be that, a swimming and diving event, as you know, when you invited me out to one of your meets this past season, Bob and I were there, and we're standing there right by the pool. Bob, as always, is in a suit. I dressed down a little bit for that. I like wearing my suits, but I was like, hey, if I'm gonna be in the meet, I got to be like almost ready to jump in the pool. And so, but hearing the news of this with someone who's been so close with you and a mentor to you and somebody that I know that you've really believed in their vision and their mission, how have you handled yesterday into today and obviously sleeping on it last night?
Well, it's not a funeral, right? It's a growth for him. And it's a growth for us as an institution too, right? Bob was brought here to change leadership and change the focus of what we do as an institution. And a lot of these institutions are not speedboats, right? You just don't get to turn. These are cruise ships, and it takes a long time to change these cruise ships and point them into the right direction, right? And you have to deal with the stabilizers on those cruise ships. And he was able to right the direction of the cruise ship and get it pointed towards the direction that we're going to in growth from internal and growth within a Division I landscape. And so from that regard, I think that we are in a tremendous position. He's going on to a place that's near and dear to his heart. I'm a LeMoyne alumni. I get it. Coming back home, when we're recruiting people, we talk about it. Does LeMoyne feel like a second home to you? And clearly, St. Bonaventure feels like a second home or primary home to Bob. And so I am thrilled for him and his family. I'm very happy that he is going to share or have the ability to build something that he has, that his heart is in. And from our standpoint, I think that we have a tremendous growth with the announcement of the infrastructure build of the rec center and the athletic complex over the next 5 years. The level of coaching staff that Bob has brought in and bringing our programs to a new level. We're in a position to really take off, and he touched on that yesterday during the meeting he had with coaches and staff, that we are in a good position, and I think we are in a good position, and I think that we will, as an institution, continue to grow, and a lot of that has to do with him getting that cruise ship pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, and working so closely with him, the notion from the outside in was that Bob was brought in to get this institution from Division II to Division I. I don't know if it's that simply stated. I don't think that was the only reason that Bob was here, and I saw the day-to-day of Bob Beretta and spent a lot of time with him, knowing that whether it was and he told me repeatedly, whether we're Division II, Division III, Division I, this is what I want. This is what we need. This is who we need to be. So is it as simply put as some people say that Bob was brought in to switch divisions, or is it more than that?
When Bob was, and I know you spoke a little bit about that with Coach Roman in the previous segment. I was not a part of the search committee that he was here. My first interaction with him was actually watching a live stream interview that he had when he was announced that he was going to be taking the position as athletic director. And one of the reporters asked him that directly. Candidly, I don't know if that was the sole purpose or if that was the guiding purpose or not. But I can tell you from working with him basically day one, it didn't matter. D1, D2, that didn't matter. Conference didn't matter. It's what are we going to do to make the institution better? The fact that we're reclassifying, we've made that transition, that may be the icing on the cake. But I don't know if he was specifically brought here to do that, but he did it, plain and simple.
Yeah, and seeing his leadership, seeing him go through a process that was a really long process. Mm-hmm. And you and I talked about this off the air. I mean, I sat in his office and saw the binder, right? Saw the initial of him saying, hey, just so you know, this is what we're working on. We don't know if we're going to do it, but, It's in
Right.
place. You need to know this. And then following through the entire process with him and Linda, seeing the fact that his leadership has put LeMoyne in a place where they've never been before. What does that say to you about his commitment, his drive, his determination? I don't know Bob to be anybody other than if he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. And we
Right.
live in a world where that is rare. You know,
Right.
everybody tells you how great they are. Everybody tells you, they'll come by the pool and say, Adam, I could swim better than all the people you have on your team. But how many of them jump in the pool and actually swim and, get to like halfway through the pool, start hyperventilating? So, I always tell people that. I say, all right, put the popcorn down, get on the court. Let me see how many threes you can make. So
Right.
when you have a leader that has commanded so much of themselves, not just of other people, but of themselves, and took on a very arduous process. And keep in mind that Bob and Linda asked the community, asked the coaches, asked the alumni, asked the student athletes, asked the parents and guardians. They involved everybody, and they heard negatives, they heard positives, they went through so much where other people can make a decision in a silo in a castle somewhere and say, we're going to go Division I. We don't care what you think. Buckle up, baby. That's not what they did. I mean, if anything, Bob put himself through more of a gauntlet by being open and having these open conversations in these forums, so many of them. When you
Right.
saw all of that in the process that he was willing to go through, and that he was willing to hear the community, the Dolphin community, what has that meant to you as a leader yourself, and as someone who has been around him to not only see go from Division II to Division I, but the fact that he made himself available in a way that I don't think is very typical of an athletic director, especially in a major decision?
Got it. So I've got a prop for you. Hold on a minute, Dave. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so listen, my friend. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree because I too have my operations book just like Bob for my
I
team.
love
So
it. I love
yeah,
it.
and I got last year's and I'm building next year's. So
I love
but
it.
I think that willingness to engage the community probably didn't feel like it was planting the seeds when they were doing it. But 24 months, 30 months ago, those seeds were all planted, and we have these major donor gifts coming in. A little bit of a field of dreams moment, build it and they will come. Well, those plans have been floated, and they've been talking about those plans for the development here, and those seeds have been planted, and now there's more and more funding coming in. And so I'm sure it was arduous. I'm sure it was time consuming. I'm sure it was repetitious at best.
Yeah.
But it appeared that we had to get the individual stakeholder buy-in from the lowest level to the highest level. And we don't need to define what those levels are, but we had to get everybody in the community, the surrounding DeWitt and city of Syracuse community. We had to get the stakeholders within the college. We had to get the stakeholders within the donors and the alumni base, the stakeholders with, candidly, a new conference. And we had to build all of those relationships before we could say, yes, we're doing this. And before we got the invitation, we had to set all of those plans in place, and that long-term vision, that long-term view of this is where we're going to go. I don't think that ever wavered, candidly. I think the answer was, we always knew the answer. It was, we have to build it so that other people see the answer in the same method. And then once we got everyone on board, as much as you can get everyone on board with a decision like that, you pull the trigger, and that's what they did. And so, what does that mean for me? Well, it means when I'm running my program or when I'm running an organization, you have to build this shareholder and the stakeholder confidence along the way, so that when those major decisions are made, the second guessing doesn't necessarily occur.
Adam Zaczkowski here with us, LeMoyne Dolphins men's and women's swimming and diving head coach. From a coaching standpoint, how did you respond to what Bob asked of coaches? How did you look at that? Because some people like to be pushed and some people like to be left alone, and mediocrity is fine. And, I mean, I see it. It's not just in the athletic world. I see it in all walks of life. When you ask somebody to do their job, sometimes it's makes people angry. And when you ask someone to do their job but maybe push a little bit harder, they don't want to do that. And then there's other people that are like, hey, give me what you got. Like, let's go out and do this. Like, if I'm only going to live one life, I'm going to go out here and give the best I can. Some people love strong leadership. Some people run from it. How did you respond to Bob's leadership style?
Well, from a pure swimming and diving coaching standpoint, he has always treated me as a subject matter expert, and what the decisions that we make as the coaching staff, he has never questioned. He's never challenged me in terms of the decision, but he's asked me questions of, okay, if you're going to do that, have you considered why? Have you thought about it? And not to answer him, but to make sure that the way that I considered my decisions were what made the most sense. And then I would share those with him, and he sometimes agreed and sometimes didn't agree, but he said, well, if that's what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. One of the less attractive sides of coaching is that there's always disciplinary issues. And then there was a disciplinary issue that came up, and I told him about it, and I brought him up to speed, and we did our internal investigation, and I said, here's where it is. And when we got to the point where we had to make a determination of whether or not we needed to have a disciplinary action to this issue, he looked at me and said, what do you want to do? And my immediate reaction, or my reaction was, well, I'm going to say more severe. And he goes, well, if we do that, why do you want to do that? And he challenged me continuously to think about, if we do this, what's the ramification? And so we went from kind of, I would say probably too strong of a disciplinary issue to kind of something that was just right, and something that the student athletes that were a part of that issue were able to grow as people, and I've seen that growth from them. So that his challenge to me was to always be a better administrator and be a better coach to my athletes. It wasn't necessarily, Adam, you have to go win this event, this meet. It was, how do I lead my athletes and my coaches in a way that is going to make them better people in the end?
Yeah. And I can appreciate that, and I can respect that, and I can respect that challenge, that back and forth. And I know that you're a very methodical person, and when I ask you questions, even, I'll see you take a minute and take a step back. And I see that brain working of like, before I answer, let me breathe and let me figure out how I want to answer this. So you may do this on this one. Where do we see the impact of Bob Beretta, either visibly or invisible, now that he is returning to his alma mater? Where do you see the impact on the Heights? Where are the pieces of all the work that he's done? Where do they show up? Either in something that you can literally walk by and go, right there, without Bob that doesn't happen, or something that maybe we don't see.
There are tangible signs throughout campus of the leadership and the changes that he's made with literal buildings, right? There's a concession stand outside of our lacrosse, soccer field, and baseball field that are new. The press box with the softball field is new. The dugouts with the baseball on the baseball diamond is new. The branding that has been on, most of the athletic fields here at LeMoyne is new. You can see the branding. You can see that. They're tangible signs of it. What are the intangible signs? Well, like we talked about that strategic plan that we had to send to the NCAA. That's in the works, and we're 2 years out of 5 into that, so we're 40% of the way. When that becomes the reality, when we get to the point where we end that, I think you're going to see the full scope of that leadership.
Yeah.
A lot of times we talk about the coaching trees in professional sports of, who are the assistants under so and so, but conversely, who were the coaches under Bob? Who did Bob bring in as a coach? Who did he bring into the institution to lead? That he assembled a cast of coaches that coach for the right reason. And I think that it's going to take years to see that fruition, just like it took years for the seeds to plant for our shareholders to get to transition to Division One. I think it's going to take years for those seeds to grow, but the impact is hard to understand. And I think really the immediate sign of that moving forward is when a new athletic director is chosen, he or she is going to have basically, the framework provided to them. Whether or not they follow it is up to him or her, but it's there. Unlike the framework that the perceived framework he got when he was here, right? He came in, the binders, right? The binders are still going to be in his office. When they come in, they're going to be able to look at those binders and see what he's done, and then, hey, this is where these programs are trying to go. And so that's going to be that's going to be the unseen to the public eye of really the depths of the changes he's made.
So when we've seen these changes and we've seen what leadership is defined by, from Bob Beretta's thought process and decision making, we saw how he defines leadership. What are you hoping for as we step forward, now that we're in year 2 of the reclassification process? If you were sitting in a room looking at what leadership could be in the future, what do you want? What do you want to see? What do you hope to see based on what you've had, based on what you have experienced with Bob? What do the Heights need as we continue the reclassification process and as LeMoyne continues to figure out exactly who they are in the ever-changing landscape of collegiate athletics?
Right. I'm going to say that question is very difficult to answer, because I think there are going to be mitigating factors that are way above what I understand from the college and what it is looking for to answer that holistically. But I think from a programmatic standpoint, I think that these changes that are coming down with the House settlement and the way that Olympic sports are going to be handled, I think that candidly is going to be a big issue for not only here at LeMoyne, but I think the Division I landscape in a whole, in terms of how we handle those things and how it's handled here at LeMoyne. I think someone who has at least, it's hard to have a firm grasp on that, as it's basically breaking every day and re-solidifying. So I think that someone understanding not just simply how that settlement is going to affect the financial side of the revenue sports, but also the Olympic sports, I think is going to be a big deal. I think that a leader who understands LeMoyne's place here within the Syracuse community, and also as we're growing, and then how to position us strategically so that we can fill a gap and a void locally for where folks who are interested in college athletics, but not necessarily Syracuse University athletics, can have an outlet. I think it's important that we, capture that marketplace firmly. And I think we need to have a leader that understands what LeMoyne is. And LeMoyne is a wonderful institution, but LeMoyne is set in its ways in some regards, and what we are trying to do. And so someone who's going to come in with a vision, who has the ability to work with the folks who are the senior leadership and give them a view of how athletics can be the front door to the college, and how we are the welcoming committee. We're not only the public relations folks, we're not only in some regards, the marketing arm, but we're lots of times the first time people interact with LeMoyne College, right? When we're talking about sports camps and 7-year-old little boys and girls, this is the first time they've come to LeMoyne College. So we are the front door for a lot of these people. And so understanding that we need to be a welcoming community that brings people into campus for not necessarily academic reasons, but it turns into academic reasons, and how we foster those relationships with those community outreach partners that builds our institution athletically and academically. I think that's the leader that we're looking for.
And coming from Adam Zaczkowski, Adam, before I let you go, you mentioned this ever-changing world of the NCAA and what, I mean, I didn't want to be right when I said it 6 years ago. When I said 5 to 10 years from now, the NCAA will either be very different than we know it as right now, if it exists at all. And 6 years after making that comment, the NCAA, I think, is trying really, really hard to delete itself. I don't know why. And you talked about Olympic sports. In the world of swimming and diving, what, as a head coach and as someone who is so passionate, and I feel like no matter how much time we spend on the show, we never have enough time, because I love really getting your thoughts, because you are so thoughtful with your answers. You don't just shoot off an answer. You actually think about it. When we're looking at the Olympic sports and we're looking at the NCAA model and the pay for play and asking schools to come up with millions of dollars and divvy it out and all this travel that's happening and realignment that makes no sense, and 30 to 40 hour drives for a team across a country, 2,000 miles to play a conference game. What's going through your mind when you look at your sport and you look at Olympic sports? Because I don't feel like Olympic sports get the respect that they should have. And I don't think anybody's asking Olympic sports how they feel about realignment, NIL, the transfer portal, the fact pay for play. I feel like they're saying, football, basketball, what do you think? Okay, well, whatever you guys think, this is what we're going to do to everybody else. I just feel like Olympic sports need a seat at the table, and I'd love to know, and I know we don't have enough time to break it all down today, but just what your concerns are stepping forward here as LeMoyne reclassifies. And during this reclassification, we're living in the world where collegiate athletics doesn't seem to really be thinking about the Olympic sports.
I don't know if it's fair to say that collegiate sports isn't thinking about the Olympic sports in entirety. I don't know if that's true, because I know that the revenue structures are tied to football and basketball, and you can see with some of the other sports, baseball with the World Series, softball, women's World Series, volleyball, something like ticket sales. You can see the ticket sales are higher. You can see that the watching, the viewership of these sports continues to grow, not to the level of football and basketball, but that interest continues to grow. And while the Olympic sports may not have the draw from an NCAA standpoint, what we're going to see, in about 7 weeks, is the world is going to be intently focused on the Olympic sports, right? Some of them that are not even a part of NCAA, but there's going to be nightly discussion on the major sport networks about swimming and track and field, and there is going to be discussions, and people are going to be tuning in and watching those sports. And so the Olympic sports have not come up with a way to necessarily have that fervor that we have once every 4 years. And maybe that's on us for not coming up with that. But when you look at how NBC has broadened its view, its airing of swimming and diving, and ESPN has gotten a hold of more of the NCAA championships, and the fact that we're talking about swimming changing its national champion dates to coincide with Final Four and changing the competitive calendar for viewership. I think that there are people that are considering and looking at how the Olympic sports will be a additional media buy, an additional marketing point. And so I don't think it's necessarily getting pushed by. What I do worry about is the finances of it. Institutions that are tuition driven. I think the Olympic sports fit within that model because of the funding model, right? The more athletes you have inside the sport, the more tuition dollars you bring in. I think that makes sense. I think once you start looking at fully funded operations, I think that's when the Olympic sports start becoming an expense that may be too high to carry. And so I hope that doesn't happen. I don't know the solution to that problem, but I think that our sports are popular. I think there are many, many, many swimmers that do it. And there are many, many people who are interested in swimming. And so understanding how to get into that marketplace and getting those folks interested and keeping them involved with watching and getting excited about the sport, that's the target.
Yeah, coming from Adam Zaczkowski. So much to talk about and unpack. I appreciate this morning speaking on the big picture as well as LeMoyne and on the impact Bob Beretta has had on the Heights, a mentor that I know means a lot to you. LeMoyne Dolphins men's and women's swimming and diving head coach Adam Zaczkowski. Adam, as always, I appreciate you. I feel like this time went by in about 5 seconds, but I always look forward to talking with you again. And I thank you for taking some time to honor someone who has had such a huge positive impact on the both of us and continues to.
Dan, always a pleasure. I love speaking with you and talking to your audience about what we do here at LeMoyne and swimming and diving. And fins up, and we'll talk soon.
Fins up. Talk soon. That coming from Adam Zaczkowski one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. As we today, on Wednesdays, we call it Dolphin Time. And every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we bring you our conversations with leadership, with student athletes, with coaches, as well as future Dolphins and alumni. We've done that for about a full calendar 3 years in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne. And today, having a happy yet it's hard to find the words. I blame you for this, Bob. But it's hard to find the words because I've been thinking about that this morning. I'm like, I speak for a living. I'm a broadcaster. I always, just kind of, I'm not right. There's no like notepad of like what I wrote down. Like you have to say this. I just kind of in my head, I'm like, I want to talk about that. I want to get to that. And then I listen to what, whoever I'm speaking with, I listen to what they're saying and then kind of, go along that path and go deeper into different things. But I'm finding a difficult time this morning with my words. And I think that's because I am finding a difficult time in knowing that it hasn't hit me yet that Bob is not going to be on the Heights. And I think St. Bonaventure is getting a tremendous leader. I think they know that. I know that Bob was there a few weeks back, honoring somebody there at St. Bonaventure. And I know that, he speaks very highly of the Bonnies. He's a proud alum. And I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that may never happen again. You may never get the opportunity to go back to your alma mater. And so I can definitely understand that. And at the same time, to me, in my opinion, Bob Beretta has become synonymous with LeMoyne. He has made himself known not because he wants the notoriety, because he wanted LeMoyne to have the notoriety. It wasn't the Bob Beretta show. It was Bob going out into the world and getting LeMoyne out there. And again, I mean, him and Dr. Linda Lemura, the president of LeMoyne, there's just something. I've worked with both of them, and I am moved by both of them. Linda is an incredible, incredible leader, and Bob is an incredible, incredible leader. And when you put those two together, it's like this unstoppable force. And I think that Linda's experienced that. And I think Bob has too. Because it's hard to find one good leader, let alone have two in the same place at the same time. with the opportunity to work together, right? You think about when you put a team together and you have somebody who is just a great leader on that squad. And I played basketball growing up. And when you have one good leader, but everybody's kind of, you're not going to win a championship. And then when you bring that, think about Dallas right now. Think about the Dallas Mavericks, right? They may or may not win the NBA Finals, but think about the Dallas Mavericks. You got Kyrie Irving and you got Luka Doncic. And Luka Doncic with Kyrie Irving, you got these two guys, these two leaders, these two people that are on the same team at the same time, which both can be so impactful, and together, can you stop them? And I don't even think Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving hold a candle to Linda and Bob, and I could be very, to me, partial because I've spent so much time with them. But, Bob's impact, the words don't, I have to really think about them. I thought about that this morning because I woke up this morning and it was just kind of like, when I get into the studio, what am I gonna say? What can I say? There's so much to say. Bob has involved me in pretty much everything. And my exclusive multimedia marketing partnership plan, when I had this idea, it was an idea. I met Bob on the day that they introduced Mary Grimes as the head coach for women's basketball. And when I met Bob through Gina Castelli, who I love as well, very, very much. She's a wonderful human being. When I met Bob that day, she's like, I want you to meet Bob. You need to meet Bob. I think you guys would be great. I think you guys would work great together. And she introduced me to Bob. I shook Bob's hand. We spent a little bit of time, and something inside of me was like, set up a meeting with him. And you better and I did. I was like, I have an idea for colleges and universities, and something inside of me was, you better have this idea fully figured out. You better have it clear because you need to present it to him. You need to be on your P's and Q's. You need to be ready to present this to Bob. And I remember us sitting down and going through it. And Bob believing in me, LeMoyne believing in me, opened me up to Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, opened me up to my alma mater, Marywood University, opened me up to Alfred University, opened me up to Binghamton University. And it all started with Bob. It all started with him. And so it's, if you've seen me pause in a different way, it's because the words are hard to find today. Because I'm very happy for a friend and a mentor and someone who I love very dearly. And at the same time, I'm looking at a LeMoyne without Bob Beretta, and that just doesn't sound good. So it's hard because I know that wherever he goes, it's the Bob factor, right? Like, when people follow, like if you're on a network, right? Let's say people are like, I watch ESPN. So like you could put a walrus on ESPN, but I'm going to watch ESPN. You could put literally anybody on there to read a teleprompter, and I'm going to watch it because that's what I watch. Or when somebody says, I watch Stuart Scott. Like that's who I watched. Like that was me as a kid. Yes, I watched SportsCenter, but Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen, that's who I want to watch. The Boom, that's who I want to watch. Tom Jackson, that's who I want to watch. And Clear. I mean, I would watch Stuart Scott talk about anything. Anything. Because he told me, without knowing me, by the way that he went about himself, and God bless him in heaven, God rest his soul. And I don't even want to say God rest his soul, because I know his soul is up there dancing, doing his thing, cooler than the other side of the pillow. Stuart Scott taught me that it was okay to be me, taught me that it was cool to be me. I was always going to be me, but he helped me have the courage to do that. And now he knows that up in heaven, I hope. But I never got to meet Stuart Scott. Yet when he passed away, I did a show about Stuart Scott here on Wake Up Call where I said he was one of the best mentor that never knew he was my mentor. So I watched because of him. And then I got to meet the Boom. I got to meet Chris Berman. He was doing a Jaguars game, and I got to talk to Chris Berman. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget. He came out of the studio area. He came out and I said, hey Chris, I just want to say, Dan Tortora, I just want to say, I watched you growing up. I really appreciate everything you do. I really love watching your work, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate it, as a broadcaster, as somebody who, was growing up watching this and everything. He had an impact on me, and I wanted him to know that. And he said, thank you. And then he came back and he stood behind me. I was sitting down in the press box, and he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, what did you say your name was again? Your last name? And I said, Tortora. And he said, he said, I thought about what you said. I walked away. I thought about what you said. And he said, I just want to let you know how much that meant to me. I just want you to know I really appreciate your words. That meant a lot. And he tapped me on the shoulder and he walked away. And I thought, wow, Chris Berman probably hears from God knows how many people about how wonderful his work is. Yet here's this total stranger, and he wanted me to know that my kind words to him really hit him and impacted him in a positive way. And he wanted me to know that meant something to him. So here's a guy who's meant something to me from afar, and now I get to meet one of the people I loved watching and respect in the broadcasting world for just being unique and being different. And him telling me, your words meant something to me, when his words had, were part of my childhood, part of growing up. And so to me, it's the people. It's not where you are. It's not the name of the college. It's the people. Bob and Linda are how they're why I fell in love with LeMoyne. That's why. I mean, have I covered programs there before our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership? Yes. Did I know people beforehand? Yeah. I knew people going into it. I had interviewed coaches, beforehand, and I had built relationships with people like Gina Castelli and Nate Champion and Yaro Zavislan. I had met Yaro years ago. So, those relationships were there. It's difficult this morning because, I'm one of those people that likes being pushed. I like love, constructive love. You got to be better. And in the last couple of weeks of my life, I have had to command myself to be better. I've had to level up. And because of something great, something absolutely wonderful in my life that has caused me to have to push myself, have to get out of my comfort zone, have to change my habits, and have to really be conscious of self-talk and everything about my energy. I mean, this is a big, big moment in my life, and I have to be able to handle that. And it's people like Bob that help you to get the best out of yourself. And from the moment I met him to forever, I see him in a way that it means a lot to me. And if you don't want a leader to push you to be better, if you don't want constructive, I'm not talking about destructive, I'm talking about constructive. If you don't want that's what leadership is. That's what leadership does. You have to have tough conversations. I just talked to the Liverpool boys lacrosse team, and Owen Michaud said to me last night when we were at Avicoli's doing the live broadcast, you can go watch on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. He said to me clearly, he said, Dan, like, I'm not about like the big, like, let's talk to everybody meetings. He's like, I'm going to pull somebody aside. I'm going to talk to them individually, and I'm going to tell them, like, this is what's happening. Like, this is what you need to do. Like, you have to have those conversations. You have to have those conversations when you're dating someone. You have to have those conversations when you're married to someone. You have to have those conversations with your kids. Sometimes you have to have those conversations with your parents. You have to have those conversations with your friends. And leadership is not just in the work environment or on a team. Leadership is, will you have those tough conversations? Because you have to. In any walk of life, you have to have those tough conversations of when you're trying to get the best out of someone and you're trying to get the best out of a group of people. And Bob he's good at it. He's poetic. He knows how to do it. And I think that anybody that doesn't see what Bob was trying to do and pushing you to be better is someone who doesn't want to be better. It's somebody who doesn't want to grow. It's someone who didn't like that somebody was telling them that they're not like the best ever all the time. And none of us are. Ego is something that will kill anything. When you think you're hot, when you think and I'm not saying you can't be, you can't be confident. But when you think that somebody, I think about it like this, like if you're not pushing somebody to be better, it's because, one, you could be afraid, but I think when someone pushes you to be better, they're telling you that they believe that there's more in you. And that's a compliment. When you think you're good at something and somebody goes, no, there's more. You got to dig deeper. You got to dig deep. Like, I love that. I want a girlfriend who pushes me to be my best self, who says, nah, babe, dig deeper. Like, you got this, but dig deeper. My mom always pushes me to be better. My mom has had conversations with me in the last 2 weeks where she's like, I'm not going to accept the way that you just spoke about yourself. I'm not going to accept the things that you're thinking right now. You need to level up. You need to dig deeper. My friend Isaac telling me same thing. Like, there's the notion, and I was thinking about this in the conversations this morning with Tracey and with Adam, that, there's something that you can really say to yourself about, you can just add one word and it could change your whole way that you look at life. When somebody says, why me? And you change that to, why not me? Why not? Why not me? People say, why me? Why would you pick me? Why would you want me to do this? Why this? Negative self-talk. Why not me? Why shouldn't you pick me? Why shouldn't you want me on your team? Why shouldn't you want to work with me? Why shouldn't you want to date me? Why shouldn't you want to be my friend? Why shouldn't you want to give me this opportunity? Nothing in life is solved in fear, in worry, in doubt, in paranoia, in second guessing. None of that solves anything. You can think through something, and you should think through something. You should always think through things, big and small decisions. But thinking through them is different than second guessing yourself and overthinking them. You have to know, right? You think about this. If you were on a sinking ship, who would you want to be with you? Do you want the paranoid person? No, because you're all going to die. Do you want the worried person? No, because you're all going to die. Do you want the person who is second guessing themselves in all their decisions? No, because you're going to die. Do you want the person that's afraid? No, because you're all going to die. You want a person in a crisis that is going to kick into, what do I need to do to take care of you and take care of me and get off this ship before it sinks? That's who I want to be around. I want to be around people that trust themselves, trust their decision making, and can think through something quickly to save and to help. Who would you want to be with at the end of the world? Who would you want to be with in a zombie apocalypse? If a comet was coming toward Earth, do you want someone to go, well, we're all going to die, and then they just sit on the porch and watch the comet? Or do you want someone who's devising a plan and bringing it to NASA saying, this is what I want to do? Did you think about this? How can I help with this? Maybe they don't know anything about science, but they go to NASA and say, hey, whatever plan you got, I'd rather die trying to help this world than just sit here with some iced tea and watch this thing hurl toward the earth. I'm an idea man. I'm a creative person. I'm a person that thrives on making things, original things, doing something that is specifically my own, mine and God's. And when we speak on Bob Beretta, we're talking about somebody who has the wisdom of an experienced person, but the whimsy and the passion of a child. One who has the spirit of a kid and the energy of a child and the appreciation of a child, and at the same time the experience of a seasoned veteran, of someone who has been through hell and came back. And that's what you need in life. You have to have the positive spirit, and you also have to have the memory of the blood that you had to wipe off your face. Because life is not easy, but to attack life without child whimsy, to attack life without passion and belief and faith, you'll fail. And at the same time, to attack life without knowledge and wisdom gained from experience, you'll also fail. If you go through an experience and you learn nothing, God will continue to put you through the same experience until you learn. And if you didn't like that experience, buckle up, Buttercup, because if you're not learning anything from that experience and you don't like that experience, you're going to keep experiencing it. Bob could be frustrated, Bob could be tired, Bob could be dealing with a million things. But the one thing that Bob has never been, and like Adam said, this is not a funeral. Bob Beretta is very much alive, and Bob Beretta will continue to have an impact on people's lives for the rest of his life because of the person he's chosen to be. And I'm with him. We ride it till the wheels fall off, and when the wheels fall off, we put them back on and we ride again. And Bob's somebody that I would be with out in the Wild Wild West as much as I would be in an athletic setting. And I think we have to take the time to honor people while they're here. Everybody honors people when, you're standing at a funeral. My grandmother's almost 101, and, people want to honor her life. I honored her life while she was alive. I honored her life when I could physically tell her how I feel about her. And today's broadcast, Bob has an effect on me, and he always will. A positive effect. Today's broadcast is very meaningful to me because the people that are hard to find the perfect words for are the people that you should thank God for. And I asked Adam and Tracey to be on the show today because they're two people at LeMoyne that I have a lot of respect for as well. And they're real, And there's a lot of good at LeMoyne. There's a lot of good coaches. There's a lot of good student athletes, a lot of good administration. There's a lot of good hearts at LeMoyne. And Bob and Linda helped me to see that. Without them, I wouldn't have seen that. Bob brought me in, and Linda immediately, just showed me that love and that appreciation. And I will go on record to say that her hugs are second to none. yeah, I would, I don't know how many hugs are better than Linda Lemura hugs because they're genuine. And this is a day where LeMoyne has to be very proud that they found a leader like Bob. And now you have to let that impact drive you, and you have to stay at that level. For a leader to make a ripple in the water, but then the water stops, doesn't mean anything. But to a leader to make the ripple in the water, which causes a wave, and that wave gets bigger and bigger and bigger, to bring about change well after that leader is there, that is the impact. And I think it's up to the people that are currently at LeMoyne to let Bob Beretta's ripples turn into waves, and those waves turn into positive change. We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. We'll be back right after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. They are open 7 days a week. It is very hard to find a sports card shop that is open every day of the week. But GG Cards and Breaks, they're that shop, and they are so much more than your typical sports card and trading card shop, and that is because of Josh and Anthony and the whole team there. It's just different. I love their passion. I love their drive. There's something about who they are and why they are. They love collecting cards. They love opening packs and boxes, and they have that kid spirit. You know, we've been talking about that on today's show, that kid spirit, that appreciation, that joy. They love seeing other people win. They build relationships. So when somebody comes through the door, they know what you're looking for. They know the teams that you like. They know the players that you like, and they build those relationships. And when somebody does that, when you walk into a business and they've built a personal relationship with you, they care about you, they want you to have fun, they want you to enjoy it, they enjoy it, it just says a lot about them. And I don't think that Josh and Anthony give themselves enough credit for the impact that they have in this community, and I want you to go and see it. Head there Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5 to truly experience something that means the world to me. I know if my grandmother was here, she would take me to GG Cards and Breaks. And my mom, she takes me there. 38 years old, and my mom used to take me to the sports card shop when I was a little kid. And the fact that she can bring me to a place where I truly feel at home, I know that means the world to her. And GG Cards and Breaks has that impact on so many people of all different ages and all different backgrounds. So if you've never collected cards before, today's a great time to start. If you've been collecting, well, today's a great time to continue. Hockey, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, all sport, AEW, UFC, Disney Lorcana, Pokemon, singles, graded cards, packs, boxes, and the only place that has every MLB, NFL, and NBA team. It's all at GG Cards and Breaks, and they are ever-changing and ever-evolving. So you can go in today, and tomorrow there could be a bunch of new product and a bunch of things that might not be there. So you got to make sure that you get your way over to 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York to experience the difference that I've been able to experience so many times consistently. And consistency means a lot to me. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you to the team at GG Cards and Breaks. Go and see them on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, we're inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, our exclusive studio partner, Heritage Hill. I love both locations of Heritage Hill, and I have been spending ample time there in recent history. The Brew House, I brought my mom there for Mother's Day brunch, which was fantastic. big time thanks to Dan Palladino. And I want to say this, it says a lot about, and these are the owners that I work with. I don't work with absentee owners. I don't work with the owner that comes in with the sunglasses inside, too cool to talk to anybody, and goes, "Did you make me money today?" And then they walk out. No, Dan Palladino, you know what he was doing on Mother's Day? He was at the buffet at the end of the line, carving the meat and putting it on your plate. The owner. How many owners do you know that are like that? Those are the owners that I work with. And Dan, he's sitting there. Last time I went into Heritage Hill North, he sat with us. He sat with the patrons, and just talked to people and had conversations. And there's just something about somebody who likes to be around the people that take their time and their money and come to visit you. He's not in the back hiding from the world where you don't know what he looks like. He's front and center talking with people, and it could be about anything. It could be about food. It could be about beer. It could be about an event. It could be about the New York State Fair. It could be about literally anything, Syracuse football, CNS. And I respect that about Dan Palladino. And that's why I'm happy to work with them. And I don't take exclusive anything lightly. And our exclusive studio partner, they got a banner that sits behind me every broadcast, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. So if I'm going to put that logo behind me, I got to believe in what they're doing. And I'm a big fan of the Brew House out on Sweet Road in Pompey, and a big fan, of course, of Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, which is our exclusive home for our CNS North Star broadcasts. I don't have the North Stars out anywhere else. They're at Heritage Hill North with me right down the road from the high school for the North Stars at Cicero North Syracuse. So I just want to say thank you to Dan and Victoria and everybody over at Heritage Hill North, Heritage Hill Brew House, and of course, Palladino Farms. Thank you for being the difference in a positive way. I truly appreciate that. With that being said, I want to thank my guests today. I want to thank Tracey. I want to thank Adam for being a part of the show, for honoring one of my closest friends, nearest and dearest people, in Bob Beretta. And I don't know if I've had a better mentor in my life. So I know that, outside of like family, I'm talking about like my mom and G-Mama and my grandfathers. I don't know if I can, outside of family, speak of a better mentor than Bob Beretta. And, it's, as I told him yesterday on the phone, we've only just begun. Bob and I have only just begun. Professionally and personally, we barely scratched the surface about what we're going to do. And I know that. And I'm excited about that. So I want you to think about something today. I want you to think about who's impacted your life. I want you to think about somebody who has meant something to you. And if you can reach out to them, reach out to them. If you don't know them, maybe it's a broadcaster or an actor or an actress or an athlete or whoever, but, maybe say a prayer or reach out to them on social media. I mean, to me, I think it's always good to pray, so if you don't know somebody, let's say I didn't meet Chris Berman, say a little prayer, say, God, help Chris Berman to know how much I appreciate him, whether that's just him stopping for a moment and smiling at something, but just help him to know somehow, some way that, I'm out there in the world and I appreciate him and I'd love the opportunity to meet him someday. It's the manifestation, right? I've met so many incredible people. I've met and talked with Bob Costas. I've met and spoken with Chris Berman. I've sat down with Jim Boeheim. I've interviewed Coach K, Roy Williams, Jay Wright, Kelvin Sampson. Scott Schaefer means a lot to me. Dino Babers and I have always had a good relationship. Sat down with Fran Brown, Rob Drummond. How do you meet Floyd Little? How do you meet these people? It's the energy you put out there. And it could be very subconscious, but it's that positivity and that belief in what you do. There's no way that I met all these people by accident. There's no way. Especially when I think about some of these stories like Bob Costas. I'm at LaGuardia Airport. There's different terminals in LaGuardia. There's 1 million gates. There's so many. And for us to be at the same gate at the same time on the same flight in the same area of the airport. And for me to walk over to him and say, hey, I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to introduce myself and tell you how much I appreciate your work. And then we end up talking for 20 minutes. That means a lot to me. And then when I saw him at the Syracuse game later that day at the Dome, he said, he was like, I really appreciated speaking with you. He was like, you're very thoughtful, like thought-provoking. And I'm sitting here going, Bob Costas is thanking me? Like, that it's supposed to be the other way. I'm supposed to say, thank you, you're amazing. And he's thanking me for talking with him. And I'm looking up at God going like, what? So, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that, but I was just, I'm in awe of the fact that, like, here's a guy that I greatly, respect and appreciate their work, and to have him be positive about anything that I'm doing over here, like that meant a lot to me, for sure. And, I think we have to take that time. We have to take that time, and we have to appreciate that time and make the most of that, right? So, I want you to think today about somebody who's stuck out to you, someone who has had an impact on your life. And I want you, if you can, to reach out to them and to say thank you. Don't waste time in your life. Don't think that people are going to be alive forever. And, be willing to put yourself out there, because why wouldn't you, right? Why would you not live the life that you want to live? And, put out that positive energy, put out those radio frequencies. If I was a negative person, if I wasn't chasing my dreams, I wouldn't have met Bob Costas. If I was a negative person, if I was a fearful person and a worried person and an anxious person, I wouldn't have gone up and said hello to Bob Costas. If I thought I wasn't worthy of Floyd Little's time, I wouldn't have had a friendship with him that continues to this day. I know he's up in heaven, and I hope he knows how much I love him. And I hope, I told him how much he means to me, but I hope he knows that. I hope he really knows that. You think about people like Floyd Little, like he's met so many people. And that negative talk would say, well, he's met so many people, why would I matter? And that's when you change it. Why wouldn't you matter? Why wouldn't you matter? You have to think better of yourself. I do, you do, we all do. Got to think better of ourselves. Life is meant to be lived. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to have purpose. And so I challenge you today, as I'm honoring Bob Beretta and all the work he's done at LeMoyne and excited about everything he's going to do. I challenge you to think about who has impacted your life and who has been a great leader and who has given you that push that you needed to be better. Even that push that you didn't like at first, but that it helped you. Anybody that truly loves you is going to challenge you. If you have people in your life that you think love you dearly, but they don't challenge you, my grandmother's a sweet woman, but she challenged me. Both of my grandmothers challenged me. My grandfathers challenged me. My parents challenged me. My dog challenges me. She didn't have to say a word to me, but she challenges me to be a better dad every day. And you have to say thank you. I mean, you don't have to, but you should. You should. And when people come into your life that have such a great impact on you, tell them that when you're having lunch with them. Tell them that on the phone. Text them that today. Go and see them. Plan a trip with them. Take the time to tell somebody, whether you've known them for 5 minutes or you've known them your whole life, take the time to tell someone, hey, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're in my life. I'm happy you chose to be here. And I just love the fact that you're here. And I just want you to know that. I want you to know that. I want you to know that you have a special place in my life. And I cannot replace you. Tell people that. Tell them. Tell your dogs. Tell your cats. Tell your birds. Tell those humans that you love. Make sure you do that. Because I think life is easy to get caught up in, especially with all of the things, the sensory things that are going on in the world today. I mean, there's everything wants your attention all the time. So it's easy to kind of just get caught up. But when you take that breath, like I want to thank the people that created New Girl. I want to thank the creators of New Girl. I want to thank the actors and actresses. That show always helps me to like relax. It helps me to recenter, helps me to refocus. It's taught me a lot of life lessons. It's a TV show. It's a sitcom. I've learned a lot from the show. Somebody had to write those things. Somebody had to direct those things, and somebody had to drive those lines home and make them real. And I thank those people. And I could sit here and say, I'm never going to meet the people from New Girl. Why not? Why am I not going to meet them? Maybe I'll meet them in the airport. Maybe I'll see them when I'm out at an event. Maybe I'll make a movie someday and I'll be calling one of them going, hey, because of the show and because of the work that you've done, I want you to do this. Positively manifest and send it out. Make your mind a good thing. And be positive. You got one life to live. Might as well live it with positivity, grace, kindness, humility, and confidence, and joy, and appreciation. We'll take a step aside for our final fast break and wrap up the show right after this. Inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Zaczkowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare it to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We are inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill with you here in Pompey. Heritage Hill on Sweet Road in the amazing, beautiful landscape of central and upstate New York at the Brew House. And Heritage Hill North, which is getting a new parking lot today. How about that? They opened up at the beginning of May, and now they're getting a new parking lot on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. So some cool things happening already for Heritage Hill North. And you can go out there today and have some fun with trivia and go and see them throughout the week as well. Outside of Monday and Tuesday, they're closed Monday and Tuesday. So Wednesday through Sunday, go and see Heritage Hill North, 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, right there at Sweetheart Corner. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, you are with us Monday through Friday live from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world. So thank you for tuning in wherever you are. And you can also go and get our shows, and we're going to be adding stuff this week. We break up the shows into specific specials, and you can catch those on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, whatever it is on whatever these channels. You know, they use different words for different things, but what you need to do is just click that button so that you stay with us. So if you're on Amazon Music and we add a new show, your phone or your device will say, hey, Wake Up Call's got a new broadcast added, come and listen to it. So make sure you join us on whatever platform you choose and whichever one you like. And Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will find you where you're at. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, today to connect with us. And speaking of connection, we have an incredible team here in Central and Upstate New York, and I am so proud. When I look at these logos, I see the people. And you can visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York at Heritage Hill Brewhouse and Heritage Hill North. I think about Dan Palladino, and I think about Victoria Matarel, Carvel DeWitt, Jay Cartini, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Danny Toman, the team, GG Cards and Breaks, Josh Gideon and Anthony Campbell, Ava Coley's, John Frado, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Jimmer and Betty Zaczkowski and their team, and all the wonderful people that have been on the light between us, Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chad and Lorraine, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Jim and JoJo and the team, and everybody there. And you know, my guys on the trucks there, I have so much appreciation of the wonderful people at Mon Pa's, and I'm just so happy I've worked with them for like 5 or 6 years now, and the people that have joined the team within this time period, I'm really excited about the leadership that we have that Jim has found here in the community. I'm grateful for God blessing us with these awesome people, and the consistency of JoJo, who has been wonderful and remarkable and positive, and just a hard-working person who gives her all to Monpaz. I appreciate that. Pizza Man, the Delia family, to Heather, to Jordan. There's Noreen. There's so many wonderful people there, and of course, Jim Sr., and the work that Luke has done over the years, and of course Carol, and my guy, Jimmy, save the best for last. You're right. He's just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And, and then you got to shout out Romano, and you got to shout out the commish, and so on and so forth. Great Lakes, Honda City, to Mark Zaccaro, and to all the wonderful people I've met there over the years. Mother's Cupboard, to Pete and to Amy, and literally everybody that's at Mother's. They're just a wonderful staff. They greet me with so much kindness. They treat me like family, and it starts with Pete and Amy, so I want to thank them. And of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your LeMoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Wednesdays are Dolphin time, and you'll find AD and DT, our conversation with the athletics director, as well as myself, Dan Tortora. We've obviously spent many years with Bob Beretta in that role there for AD and DT, and of course the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, as well as administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You'll find all of our wonderful, wonderful conversations by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Our LeMoyne playlist is on our YouTube channel with our shows throughout the years. You'll also find LeMoyne in two places on wakeupcalldt.com on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, Fins Up. Jerry, I saw your messages. I will get to them in just a second here. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. I love hanging out with the Bobcats, and I appreciate their kindness, their generosity, their love, the handshakes and the hugs, man. They never get old, and I just cannot say enough about Nick Dimitrievsky and Alex Grigorita, Clay Gagan-Sherman, Tay Baker, Sean Peake, to now having our leader in the esports world, who has been on the show numerous times here, Connor Carroll, who I'm really excited about what he's going to do, and of course Mary Hawkins, and just everybody at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, the security, just that there's so many kind people, so many wonderful people that work in admissions. I'm not forgetting any of you. I'm seeing your faces in my head while I'm talking about this. So thank you for your passion. Thank you for your love. And thank you for just giving us a school that is such a breath of fresh air and different in such a great way. You'll find them on James Street in Syracuse. You'll also find another campus on Route 57 in Liverpool, right across the street from Avicoli's. So you'll be eating good over at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. The Bobcat Buzz is with you every single month. Men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, baseball, and esports all get in the spotlight throughout the year. And you can find all our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. The BSC Syracuse playlist is there for you as well on our YouTube channel. And you can go to two places on wakeupcalldt.com, the homepage, and underneath the exclusive partners tab to find the Bobcats. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat time exclusively on Wake Up Call, and that is at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesdays worldwide. Our monthly specials are Moments with Marshall, featuring Binghamton University Athletics Director Gene Marshall, giving us a truly in-depth look at athletics at Binghamton University, and the Bearcat Break Room, where we speak with student athletes, coaches, and administration, All of our content with Binghamton is over on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Binghamton playlist on our YouTube channel. You also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, you can go to bubearcats.com, and definitely make sure you check out our most recent conversation with Eric Holt, who is going to Eugene, Oregon in just a couple weeks to work toward qualifying for the 2024 Olympics in Paris. And I am hoping to God that he makes it. For more information, like I said, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank Jerry. Jerry has, those of you that listen to the show and you hear me mention Jerry, Jerry Hart, he's been literally with me from the beginning of my career. And the only people that have supported me longer, I would say, are G Mama and my mom of my career. And Jerry has been with me from 2003 when I came to Marywood and I started doing MU courtside. And he would listen to me on the radio, and he would, support me with MU courtside on TV and on the radio. And now all these years later, he's still here. And I said that, we should tell the people that we love them, and we should tell the people we appreciate that we appreciate them. Jerry, I never knew the impact that I was making on you. I didn't know that I was going to get the level of support that I got from you, that I was going to get support from you at all. And not because you're not a great person, but because, I just went out there and I chase my dreams and I do what I love. I don't do it for the accolades. I don't do it for, the pats on the back. I do it because I love it. And to know that I've had your support for 21 years, my entire career, is honestly, like, I don't have words for that. 21 years. I mean, you supported me at Marywood. You supported me when I was on ESPN in Scranton, and you've never left. You've always shown up, and you've been such a devout supporter, and you've been so kind. You've been so generous. You constantly let me know that you're there. You constantly know that you have my back and you're hoping the best for me, and you're just a good person. So I love you, Jerry. And I'm so happy that you're here in this world. I'm so happy that God crossed our paths. You said a lot of nice things today. You've always said a lot of nice things, and it means a lot to me. And I just want you to know that you're never forgotten and you're always appreciated. So I hope anything that's going on in your life, any adversity, anything that comes your way, I hope that God helps you handle everything well. I hope that you heal. I hope that you're happy. I hope that you're healthy. I hope that you're safe. I hope I get to see you soon. And I just want to let you know, Jerry, that, people like yourself really have such a positive impact on my life. And I am so grateful. And I will absolutely never forget the fact that you were there from day zero and nobody asked you to be. You chose that. So thank you for your support. For whatever I'm doing that makes you want to tune in, I'm grateful for that. And I love you. And I really am honored that I have your support. So I love you, and I love your family and your loved ones, and I send my best to every single one of you. And I hope you know how absolutely thankful I am to have you in my life. So, Jerry, you got a fan in me. So with that being said, I want to thank Tracey Roman for being a part of the show today, and Adam Zaczkowski. Tracey, the LeMoyne Dolphins head softball coach. Adam, the LeMoyne men's and women's swimming and diving head coach, spending time today honoring Bob Beretta and the legacy that he in such a short time has left with LeMoyne, which we are going to see forever if we take the time to look for it. And for the excitement of everything he's going to do at St. Bonaventure. So Bob's only just started, and him and I have only just started together. So God bless, and many thanks to Bob Beretta, and God bless and many thanks to Tracey Roman and Adam Zaczkowski. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. The Liverpool boys lacrosse team is playing in the Final Four in the New York State playoffs today at SUNY Cortland. They're going up against McQuaid from Rochester, New York. That game is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I will share the link. And if you can get out there and go and support them. I had a great time. I always have a great time with Mike Felice and his team. Make sure you go back and watch those videos. They're on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and they're on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. Go and watch my videos with the team weeks ago when they talked about the fact that their record doesn't show who they are. Don't count them out. They're not done yet. The best is yet to come. They said all those things to me, and then they went and won a sectional championship, and then went into the state playoffs and won a regional, and now are playing in the Final Four. This team is a wonderful story that's continuing to be made. And so if you can go and watch them today online, or you can go to SUNY Cortland, please go and do that. God bless and Godspeed, and many thanks to Mike Felice and Liverpool High School and the Liverpool Warriors boys lacrosse team and Liverpool athletics in general, Ari Lieberman and everybody there, and Dan Henner and the superintendent for Liverpool, and just everybody in the Liverpool community. Thank you so much. I will be paying attention. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Have a wonderful day, and be well.